Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to a Friday edition of Pagan Artist Spotlight on the Prairie Land Radio Network. And this afternoon, I am joined by my special guest, Becca Lynne, and she is the owner of the Compound Zoo. She's a pagan homesteader out in California. And we're going to be taking some time to get to know her, get to know what she's doing, and finding out more just what it is to be a pagan homesteader. And his the reason why I'm doing this series is I decided that a while back ago when I've had the longest ever planned goal for myself, and that was to have a homestead. And I'm bound to determine one of these days it's going to take place. So I felt now's the time to do a series on it. So, welcome, Becca. Thank you for taking time out to join me.
Thanks for having me. Sorry about all the stomping upstairs. I have a household of 4 children. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good there, dear. You're good. Okay, now, uh, what was your upbringing like?
I was actually probably like most pagans. I was raised in a strict Christian household. Um,
Mm-hmm.
my cousin was the first of us to deflect from like the strict Christian household to paganism. And she was very early on casted out as the black sheep. Um, to the point where she still lives with my aunt and uncle, but they are purposefully raising her child as a Christian versus letting the child be whatever she wants when she gets older. Um, I wasn't a very strict Christian growing up. I was okay, yeah, I believed in the Judeo Christian God. I did what I was supposed to. Um, and then I had a bunch of traumatic events happen. I was like, you can't tell me that this is a loving deity that's supposed to take care of you and have all these things happen to people who are doing what they're supposed to do. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like strayed and continued on what was calling me, and that was the path of being a green witch. So I'm very nature-esque, and I guess it kind of goes hand in hand with having the homestead.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, would you also consider yourself to also be like a kitchen witch as well?
Oh yeah. My love language to other people is food. You're sad, here's food. So I put all my love and intentions in the food, and because I'm bringing in and working with most of what we grow, it just adds that extra connectivity to the earth and to my family.
Nice. So now you've already let's see. Now you're going on 2 years
Hmm.
of being a homesteader.
Yep.
So what made you decide to undergo this challenge?
Half COVID, and then half we finally had our land, as much land as you can get in Southern California. Um, my wife is military, so we've bounced from place to place to place.
Hmm.
So we never really had much say in what our land was, and we've been here in California about 6 years now, with no end date so far to her contract on when we're leaving California. So we're like, we're gonna buy land, we're gonna buy a house, and we're gonna go from there.
Nice. Okay. Now basically getting everything put together to establish your homestead. Um, because basically we're going to be playing a couple of videos here during the interview, uh, basically telling your story about your first year of being a homesteader and also the dark side of getting into homesteading. Um, so basically, what kind of challenges did you face in acquiring your land that you have?
The first year, it was mostly trial and error of figuring out what is good to grow out here and what's not. We have a very long growing season in comparison to where you're at. Like our growing season is about technically 10 months out of the year. And even those last 2 months, we can still stretch it out and overwinterize certain vegetables and certain fruits that need it.
Hmm.
but we have really horrific summers where if we're not taking any sort of like precaution, like if we're not shade clothing our produce or even our animals, we're going to lose all of them. And that's what I had to try to work around. My first year was like, okay, I want this beautiful, lush, gorgeous garden, but I don't want to have all of these like eyesores draped over everything.
Right.
But without those eyesores, I don't have food. So,
Right. So out of those 10 months that you've got for your growing season, um, do you also utilize greenhouses?
I don't. Well, I shouldn't say that. I do when I'm starting my seedlings indoors. I have a small little greenhouse like that just sits right by my window with my indoor plants
Mm-hmm.
that I'll grow my seedlings in, and then once they're big enough, I'll move them outside. I always start them on like my covered upper balcony, and then I'll move them into direct light. So it's not such a harsh jump for them to go from artificial to, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the 100+ degree weather that we're dealing with.
Yeah. Okay. Um, all right. So now, what about, because I know that California is constantly dealing with uh, droughts. Now, how are you set for dealing with water issues?
So surprisingly, I didn't really have any issues last year with my watering schedule. I watered them really early in the morning, usually around like 6 or 7 before anything even happened. And then I would water them again right as the sun was going down. This year, depending on drought season, how bad the temperature is, I'll be using like ice cubes out of my freezer to put on them in the morning. So it's a slow drip into them,
Mm-hmm.
or even saving like some of the boiled water from like our pasta or when we boil our eggs, saving them and then watering the plants that need the extra calcium, like tomatoes.
Hmm.
So reusing the water, obviously after it cools down. Um, some have
Right.
even said to use like shower water, but I don't feel comfortable putting shower water on my plants. So
No, I wouldn't either. Because uh, no, I don't think
something
that
about
would be
soap and dirty body. No thanks.
right. No, I don't think that would be a good idea. um, I mean, 'cause you'd have there is a process where you'd have to have that water draining out into a filtration system
Hmm.
in order to even be able to reuse it. So, uh, I mean, I know people who are using water catchment systems for rainwater and uh, operating that way. Because I know that now in your area, do you get a lot of rain or not?
We don't, which really sucks. So I'd love to do that rain barrel system. We get maybe at a most 12 inches a year, maybe. And
Mm,
that's usually in like December, January. And that's it.
gotcha. So, are you on a city water system, or did you have to drill a well?
No, I'm city. When the wife retires and all of us possibly move, we're gonna look into probably a well because we had a well when we lived in Oklahoma,
Hmm.
and that was the best. We loved our well water over the city water.
Nice. As I say, there's a there's a couple of homesteader. Well, actually, no. There's one in particular in Oklahoma who I do follow, uh, who's kind of been my inspiration for a lot of things. Uh, and he is a actually a retired Oklahoma state trooper.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because he and his family have got a real nice setup where they're at. Um, yeah. So, okay, now what for animals do you currently have?
We have chickens, turkeys, rabbits, and goats. And then we have our one snake, our dogs, and our cats.
Hmm. Okay. So now, what kind of goats are you utilizing right now?
We have two mini Nubians. We will be getting a third like mid July, and then we will be breeding them starting in September.
Okay. Uh, because I know that there's also the Kiko goats that I hear about uh, quite frequently. Uh, that a lot of homesteaders are also raising.
Yeah, I've never heard of those.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I guess the market on Kiko goats are quite doing quite well. Um, in fact,
Oh,
the guy down in Oklahoma has stated that uh, they're selling for up to $4 or $5 a pound right now.
oh wow, I believe it. Yeah, I just looked it up. So I've seen them. I didn't know that's the breed they were.
Mm-hmm.
And because of our amount of land, we had to stay tinier. So we got
Mm-hmm.
the mini Nubians,
Ah, gotcha.
but they're pretty.
Yeah, they are actually, and uh, yeah, basically he goes. Let's see, he has kidding season to where he's got it to where uh, the majority of his kids are born late winter, early spring.
Yeah, ours will our breeding window is August, September for a kidding by like the beginning of January, February ish,
Mm-hmm.
just because it's not 100 and something degrees out here. Because that would put the kids and the does at risk.
Right, it would. And I suppose that now you said that you've also created had to create shelters for all your animals as
Mhm.
well due to the summer months, which is quite understandable. I mean, out there, yeah, I know that your summers are quite brutal.
Yeah. Last year the high was like 120, I think.
Oof,
It was gross. And then we've already had a couple 100-degree weathers starting like February of this year. So
yeah,
we're not looking forward to when, summer actually hits.
yeah, I know. Uh, we've already had a few 90-degree temps out this way, uh, really early in the season. Yeah, so I'm gonna hate to see what it's gonna be like by the time July and
Uh-huh.
August roll around. So it's gonna get darn right hot over here. I know that. But yeah, so I mean, there is a lot of great aspects of being a homesteader because you have a sense that you have your own land, you own your home, and uh, you're living the way that you want to live, and just having that freedom. But there's also a lot of responsibilities that go along with it as well.
Yeah.
Now, did you have to spend time developing the land that you've got?
Um, so we didn't do much in terms of developing it for growing food. We actually moved our planter boxes to the front of our house because we had this big flat area in front of our house. So we moved all the raised beds out there. So the back is just for the animals. So all we really had to do was just build their shelter, build the chicken run multiple times. we, we've had to keep upgrading their security measures because like I said in one of my videos, like it's just been loss after loss after loss, especially your first year.
Yeah,
You need to figure out what works and what doesn't.
right.
It is really not for the faint of heart. If you can't stand animals dying, it is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, that's the downside of
Mhm.
whether you're being just a small homesteader to doing a large farm. Um, and I've I've been around both. Uh, as I have memories of spending time down at my aunt and uncle's farm here in Iowa, and naturally we would go down. We would get invited to go over there when it was time to do chickens.
Hmm.
And guess who always got conned into catching the dumb things?
Oh, I'm a weenie when it comes to dispatching day. Because we've been doing it for 2 years, and I'm still a big weenie. I will not do the dispatch. A lot of it, I mean, a lot of it is my medical issues. Like, I don't have the force, but like, I don't have the strength behind me to physically do it. But then there's that whole I'm a big sucker, and I see their eyes looking up at me. No, I can't. Nope. So the boyfriend does all the dispatching, and then I can do all the cleanup process. Like I can defeather them or skin them if it's the rabbits. Um,
Hmm.
but it's something with the head. I can't see the head. If the head is on it, I won't do it.
Yeah, I can understand that completely. Yeah, like you said, that I usually my uncle was the one who took care of doing the dispatching. But yeah, I'd always be the one to get suckered into catching that dumb things. It's like,
They're
hey,
quick.
yeah, because I'd usually come out of it with battle scars.
Good thing they went to the pot then.
Yeah, uh, I think one of the one of the funniest memories I've got is uh, my brother and his ex-wife now. They lived down in Missouri, and uh, they had quite a spread, but my former sister-in-law decided that she wanted to have white geese, and she had 5 of them. Those dumb things were worse than a guard dog.
Oh, they're so mean. They are so mean.
Uh, yeah, because it got to the point where even the UPS driver refused to get out of his truck unless somebody came out.
Oh my god.
We were down visiting one summer, and Mom and I went walking out towards the pond out back, and one of the geese decided that he was going to get right up on Mom's heels, doing the hissing bit and everything else.
Oh,
Mom spun
no.
around and said, "You bite me, you dumb thing! You're going to wind up on the dinner table."
Yeah, yeah. That's actually a rule here on our farm is we refuse to have aggressive animals. If you're aggressive, you go in the pot. I love you, I raise you, I give you all the snacks, I give you all the treats, I take care of you, and I love you like my baby. But if you're going to attack me and be mean, unprovoked, uh, your butt's dinner.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, I've been around both. I mean, I've even delivered baby pigs.
That's awesome.
Eh, Yes, Mela. What? I know you're wanting to put your 2 cents worth into. I know.
There's a lot to say.
Yeah, she does. Okay, go lay down. Go lay down. I know. I'm busy right at the moment. I'll get with you after I get done. Okay. Thank you. Go lay down. Be a good girl. Go lay down, please. Okay. I'll get with you in a little bit once I'm done. Okay. Now, um, like I said, we're gonna be playing a couple of videos for everybody today, and we're gonna get to the first one. And would you just wait a second? Good grief! This first one foretells your first year of being a homesteader. So I'm going to be. We're going to play this one here right quick, and then we're going to get into the darker side of homesteading, what they did not tell you So we're going to do that here real quick. And we're going to be right back right after this. So uh, stick around.
Well, it's been a year. Here we are in the front garden. I didn't think this year it came by so quick. A lot has changed. So over the last year, we have extended our homestead. We went from just a little bit of gardening space that we had on the upper balcony to we are now extended into the flat part of my driveway. We are starting to grow a flower garden as well that is going to also extend down to the front of the house. So in this year, we have learned a lot, we've gained a lot, we've also lost a lot. This last year on the homestead has definitely taught us a lot about living on the land and the different microclimates that are here in Southern California. So where I'm at, I'm in zone 10A. There are parts of Southern California, like up in Los Angeles, that are 10B. If you're a gardener, it just basically means like this is how your seasons go and what makes for the most efficient growing cycle for your plants. But inside each of these growing zones, there are microclimates. So while I think most of San Diego is a zone 10A, if I were to live by the beach, I would have a different growing climate than I do here where I'm at, which is a little further inland. I've had to learn how to base my growing cycle around a ridiculously hot and sometimes crazy weather, which isn't always helpful. And our dirt isn't really the best. So it takes up a lot of amendments and factoring in things to make my plants grow. A lot of my plants are actually grown in potting soil that I pick up from our local nursery or I pick it up from Lowe's. So unlike most of my gardening friends that are having to pre-start their seeds in greenhouses, here where I'm at, I can basically start everything year round until it comes to the summer, because even a lot of our heat weather resistant plants don't really do well in 114 degree heat. Last year, I lost a lot of my crops. I had a bunch of tomatoes. I was growing carrots and strawberries and grapes. And grapes usually do really well out here in California. We have a bunch of wineries out here. But for some reason last year, I don't know if maybe since it was just my first year trying to grow grapes or what, they didn't flourish and they actually died. A lot of my plants that I do get out here, as I started last year, I got as seedling starts from our local nursery. Now, that's not to say that I still don't currently use seedling start, because I do. It just means that I have learned a little bit more this year and the last year to be able to predict what type of amendments we're going to need. So beyond the garden and everything that had happened, honestly, my gardening issues weren't nearly as bad as everything that we dealt with animals this year. In the last year, we have lost countless birds. We've lost 2 rabbits, but we did end up gaining some stuff this year too. We gained 2 adorable little goats, Artemis and Hecate, within the last month. So close to our 1-year mark, we ended up expanding our homestead animals to these 2 adorable little goaties. They are mini Nubians, so that means they are half Nigerian dwarfs and they are half Nubians. So adorable, adorable, adorable little babies. And the purpose for them is they're going to be bred for milk to help sustain our family, as well as for meat purposes as well. If they are not used for meat for our family, then for somebody else, or if somebody wants their own kid, which is what a baby goat is called, then we will obviously give them the first pick as well. In terms of birds, we have lost a couple of babies just to variances in things with baby chicks. We lost 2 baby polkies within the last week, and we have lost countless baby turkeys with little girls' first clutch that was all hatching this week, and a lot of them were crushed or suffocated in her hatching process. So it wasn't by any fault of her own. We also ended up culling 2 of our turkeys, which is the whole purpose of why we got them. They are meant to help sustain our family. And of course, everybody's always treated with the utmost care and respect. If you guys have been following us for a long time, you guys have seen all the process that we have done with caring for these animals. These animals are not treated like a commercial livestock. They are members of our family and are treated as such until their purpose has been fulfilled. Last year, sometime in, I want to say it was August, we got our first little batch of Rex rabbits. We had Steelix, Evie, Umbreon, and Zebstrika. Unfortunately, Umbreon died due to a freak accident with her hutch, and then Zeb had died from a heat stroke when we had those really bad fires in September. It was really traumatizing and really, really awful, to be honest. And it took us until January to even start trying to re-up our breeding stock, in which case we got Onyx, who was born in November, and we got Mimikyu, who was born.
Nope.
That was a big jump. What just happened?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get figured out too. Interesting. Anyway, uh, something else. Yeah, I was going to touch on with you being out in California now. Have have you had to deal with uh, all the fires that you've had out there?
Thankfully, the only one we really had to deal with was that one in September of, was it 2020, I think. And it got as close as, I think, 5 miles from our house. We
Okay.
never had to evacuate, thankfully. But we were prepping for the evacuation, which was the day that Zeb died.
Okay. That's got to be the a hard issue to be able to prep if you have to evacuate and what you do with all of your animals that you have.
So we actually discussed it around that time, and it's always a constant discussion as the farm grows. We would either stuff them all in crates, shove them in my SUV and the boyfriend's SUV, shove as many as we can in there. Or we would basically open the chicken coop, open the goat run, turn the hose on just to keep the ground wet, and then basically hope for the best.
Mm-hmm.
We hope and pray it would never have to get to that, because I would be completely devastated, and I know our children would be too.
Mm-hmm. I can understand that. Um, hmm. Yeah, because here again, that there are so many factors that are involved with your environment and what you have to deal with as far as keeping everything going, keeping your plants growing, keeping the animals uh, fed and watered and out of the elements, so to say.
Yeah.
Uh, is at least the one thing that now, are you in Southern California or are you up in Northern?
Southern.
Okay. So you really don't even have to deal with uh, cold temps.
Mm-mm. Nope. The coldest it gets here overnight, maybe high 30s, maybe.
And that's not bad. That's
Yeah.
not bad at all.
I
Now,
miss the cold. I'm from the East Coast. I miss the cold.
well, yeah, I can understand that. Also, want to say welcome to Patsy, my good friend Patsy, who is tuning in this afternoon. I appreciate it. Um Now, we're also going to be getting into, like I said, the things that they don't tell you with being a homesteader, because there are a lot of things that you have to deal with. There's a lot of things there, uh, and now, are you in this? Are you in town or are you outside of town?
I am 30 minutes from San Diego, so
Okay,
I'm outside.
okay. Um, because I know that there's a lot of regulations or hoops that you have to go through in order to acquire the property, to be able to develop it, and make sure that you're complying with uh, all regulations and whatnot. Um, so when you first decided that you wanted to do a homestead, um, how long of a process did it take?
It didn't. A lot of it was just researching like what amount of chickens we could have. Um, Nobody has a straight answer out here. Because we are listed as unincorporated. Um, so like we have our own set of rules, but we also have to follow San Diego's rules. But then nobody also really cares. Um, and everybody around me has animals. My neighbor to my right has chickens. My neighbors, if I look out my house and down the hill, they have pigs. And then my
Hmm.
friend who lives down the hill to the right a little bit has a bunch of chickens. So she said all the animal control warden person had told her was just if your neighbors complain, you can only have one rooster and it has to be 50 feet away from their property line. Just that they don't complain, they don't care.
Okay. Yeah, the thing is, roosters. I'm not sure 'cause, yeah, some roosters. I know after a while you want to just
Uh-huh.
use them as target practice.
Yeah. We're actually down to 2 roosters now. Versus our I think at one point we had 5. Yeah, at one point we had 5. But um ours are we go by the motto if you're going to be a jerk, you go in the pot. So
Right.
don't be a jerk.
Yeah, having 5 of them. Yeah, that would drive me nuts.
Mm-hmm. They were actually really good boys. 3 of them went to different homes. Just because they're not a part of my breeding program. So they
Hmm.
were starting to get fussy with those that we do use for our breeding program. So we sent them 2 of them went to one family that had a farm, and then my last guy went to a like a ranch for I don't remember what they call it, but it's just a big old ranch that's nothing but roosters. So there's no fighting, nothing. It's just
Oh, wow.
acres upon acres, and the birds get to go do whatever they want.
Hmm.
And that really sounds like a story you tell your children. Yeah, your puppy just went to the farm. No.
No, that's true. Um, now, you were saying that you've got turkeys,
Mhm.
and what other animals have you got for meat sources?
Chickens, rabbits, eventually goats. Like we have the goats, we just need babies.
Hmm. Okay. Have you? Let's see. So, how many acres of land do you have?
Only half an acre.
Oh, only half an acre. Okay. All right. To say, 'cause now, do you have plans to in the future to acquire more, or?
If we are acquiring more land, we'd probably move. Um, just because land out here is so ridiculously expensive.
Hmm.
Um, and it's really, really hard to come by unless we are so far out from the city that my wife wouldn't be able to get to work.
Gotcha. Okay. Now,
Eventually, we would like a minimum of 5 acres, but we'll see when we get there.
interesting. Okay, like I said, the next video that we are going to be playing here, this tells about the more darker side of becoming a homesteader, things that they never told you about. So we're going to be playing this one here real quick, and then we're going to be showing a little bit more information. Now, you are the owner of what you call the compound zoo, and people can go to your YouTube to see everything that you do with that, with all of your animals. And you're
I am
also on.
way more active over on Instagram than I am on YouTube.
Okay. So, and this is your Instagram page,
Yep.
uh, the Compound Zoo, and there's a lot of information on there as well. So be sure to check her out on Instagram. So, in the meantime, we're going to be playing video, and we're also going to be taking time out to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be back right after this. So, stick around.
I just walked into this coffee shop. You'll never guess what I found. All the help is deeply engrossed in metaphysical times. You should too. I'm at the Egyptian, 475 Park Avenue in Idaho Falls, Idaho. You get your very own coffee for free, and we're open till 10.
Sister Moon Apothecary and More is a collaboration of local island witches bringing you handcrafted tools for ritual, amazing apothecary, custom vinyl work, merchandise, and so much more. But we are not just an online store. We are a sisterhood, a platform, and a voice for everything that is magical. Join us for our famous Tarot Tuesdays from 11 to 4 Eastern Standard Time for a discounted reading with our amazing in-house intuitive reader and priestess, Wolf Spirit Energy, Beverly Oberlin. You can find us on Facebook at Sister Moon Store or on the web at sistermoon.shop. So fly on over and stop in for a spell.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Compound Zoo, or welcome if you are new. I'm sorry this isn't my usual chipper intro, but we've got some very important things to talk about on things that happen on a homestead that you may or may not realize. So this is a very somber topic.
Editing me. Put a trigger warning.
Owning a homestead, a small homestead where you are raising animals for food and not just to be pets, as well as gardening, does come with some downsides, and it's usually the downside that you don't hear about when reading books on how to start your homestead. One thing that you should probably start accepting is that death will happen. I'm very, very sad to say that we ended up losing Umbreon, our Rex rabbit, by the time I filmed this, probably about a week ago. And just last night, we ended up losing little Michiru, my little black silkie that I got on Mother's Day. You guys have seen them in vlogs, and if you guys are following us on Instagram, there's pictures of her on Instagram. Post some right here of her. But we lost her last night too. And that's just the reality of owning livestock. Yes, we still love and care for them as if they are our pets, but ultimately they are livestock. They are creatures that are meant to have, I guess, technically a shorter life depending on what they're raised for. Michiru and Umbreon are accidental deaths. We have also, at the beginning of our journey, we lost our 3 black Moran hens that we got, which is what started our journey. That was within the first, 2 weeks of starting our ownership of chickens. So to say that death isn't a part of homesteading and showing you only the happy moments would be a lie to you guys. I'm having a really hard time actually even talking about this, so this might end up being a really short video. But the goddesses were mauled by something. Their chicken house that we got was not secure enough. They got attacked. When we built our run, it was left with, I want to say it was just Gaia that had survived. And then the dogs ended up breaking down the run that we built that we thought was going to save her, and got to her that way. So we ended up having to reinforce that area as well. And this was, like I said, months ago. Umbreon, we're assuming the kids did not shut and latch her hutch door. Their hutch is about 5 feet off the ground. And she fell out and broke her back. We did end up processing her like we would as if we were processing the rest of our meat rabbits, to honor her and to make sure that her untimely death did not go to waste. The goddesses, we weren't able to save it all. If that tells you how bad things were. And then just last night, something got a hold of our darling Michiru just before it was time to put them in the coop. Our chickens are not free range in the sense that they run our property, but they are free range in that we have a giant 13 by 30 run that they get to run in every day, and then they get locked in a coop at night for extra safety. We're not entirely sure what had happened. My kiddo thinks that maybe because where we found her is usually her sleeping spot, since transitioning her from the tinier coop to the bigger coop, she always sleeps in this one little spot. We have to go pick her up and put her in the big coop. So my oldest thinks that maybe her body was just too close to the fence line and something got her. So it's been a rough 12 hours, honestly. It's only been 12 hours since we found her. So this is kind of hard. But to say that starting a homestead, it is a fruitful journey from beginning to end with no death and no failure of crops and no disease on crops is a lie, and is not, like I said at the beginning, it's not fair to you guys to only show and tell you guys the happy points that are happening on our homestead.
Okay, now I wanted to leave a little bit of time here and to talk about the pagan side of things, but yeah, I hope that there is a little bit more to that video that I would encourage people to go watch, because yeah, there are both ups and downs of doing a homestead. And for those out there who are either thinking about doing one, or even ones who are a seasoned homesteader that are thinking about expanding or whatever, there are, yeah, there are still things that people can learn on a daily basis. Um, so now, uh, how do you incorporate your pagan spirituality into what you're doing?
Well, when it is dispatching day, we always, thank the goddesses and thank the earth for allowing us to raise their creature and love on their creature, um, and offering it back to us as a way to sustain our family. I will also take some sort of memento from the animal. So if it's a bird, I'll take a feather. If it's a rabbit, I'll take some of their fur, and I will place it on my altar with like an offering, as a safe passageway to wherever they go in the afterlife. Um, and then with the crop side of things, I have this app on my phone. It's called Moon Garden, and it shows when is the best time to plant, harvest, sow different crops, transplant things based on the moon cycles, so that it works in favor of the plant. So some plants will do better on this phase of the moon. Some plants will do better on that phase of the moon. So I've been using
Mhm.
that a lot to help incorporate the moon cycles to make my plants stronger. And then I'm always giving thanks to my deity. I am a follower of Persephone, so I work closely with her. And I'll have I need to rebuild it because we moved everything. I had an altar for her out in my garden as well, since she is the maiden of spring. So
Mhm.
I have her in the garden. Then I have another altar of her in my house that I am frequently going and thanking her for anything that's happened on the homestead, good, bad, whatever. Thank you for bringing us through this. Thank you for protecting us, that kind of thing.
Interesting. Okay. So now, like I said, I had been showing uh, your Instagram page that I would definitely encourage people to take a look at, seeing how you're more active on Instagram.
Yeah.
There are, like I said, there are videos over on YouTube that you can also check out for the Compound Zoo, and they can also find you um, on Facebook as well under U.S. Navy Angel. And so I encourage people to uh, who are thinking about doing a homestead or just want to have more information. Um, so, I mean, are you a part of any local pagan groups out in your area?
I'm not. It's just my best friend and I. We have like our own little coven. It's just the two of us. I did find some that are local or local groups to me that I requested to join. So hopefully I can find some more people to connect to.
Oh, that's good. Um, yeah. Now, are you planning on? Have you thought about getting any other small animals that you don't currently have?
We did have bees for a little bit. Unfortunately, they all ended up contracting veromites, which is, I think my boyfriend said it was like some sort of lice. It's a parasite for bees.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard to catch. So when he did finally catch them, it was just too late to save them. So I think hopefully next spring we'll be bringing bees back to the farm, because they were an interesting insight to have on the farm, because it's not something you can really interact with. Um,
True.
but I definitely I want to add pigs and ducks. I was told no to both. I was told my partners have said no to both, mainly because of the land issue. So they're like, we have half an acre of land and 98% of it is uphill. So like the amount of flat land that we can safely build a pen for is very limited. So eventually I want pigs and ducks, but I'm not counting on it anytime soon.
Not until at least when you decide to move on to bigger land.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really want cooney pigs.
Nice. Well, I definitely want to say thank you for taking time out to join me today. Uh, this has been quite interesting, educational, and fun to get to know you and uh, get to know how you're doing things on your homestead. Uh, Definitely going to be following you and uh, keeping up to date of what you got going on.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having me.
You are very welcome. And as always, if you have questions for me directly, email me at earl@iapnradio.net or at iowapagannews@gmail. And as always, keep your family safe, keep everyone around you safe, your animals, especially pets, and enjoy the weather while we got it. Uh, Especially those of us here in the Midwest. Yeah, we like days that we can actually get outside and do stuff. So, yeah, take advantage of it while we got it. So, I'm going to say pleasant journeys, everyone. Thank you for tuning in as usual. And as always, we will be back with more right here at Iowa Pagan News. Looks like I'll be setting up more interviews with Pagan homesteaders coming up. And so we're going to continue this series each and every Friday as long as we possibly can. Have a great day, everyone. I want to thank you for tuning in, and we will be seeing you again very soon. Pleasant journeys, everyone.
Bye.